Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Munce Report as the skies are finally beginning to clear. Trainer Chris Munce joins us from a wet but drying eagle farm. Another week of wet weather, mate. How's the camp going? No doubt a little difficult under the circumstances, training horses and meetings postponed or rescheduled, but good to see some sunshine.
Yeah, it's been very frustrating, Adam. I've got to say, though, we were very lucky. Our stable, I did a lot of my main gallops on Monday morning, which allowed me to get sort of decent gallops into a few of these mares that were running on the weekend, sort of just forecasting that we weren't going to have much luck with barrier trials and grass on the Tuesday. So I was very lucky that I did my main gallops then, and then we got a break in the weather this morning for a couple of hours, which I was able to do a few pieces of work with horses this morning. So, look, I've kept maintenance work up to most of them as best I could, but it's been very frustrating.
Yeah, I bet it has. Frustrating for owners too, not knowing if their horses are running or whatnot. But I guess the thing is everyone's in the same boat, aren't they? Anyone in southeast Queensland or even North Queensland and elsewhere, it's just been wet everywhere. So good to see some sunshine and the skies are looking better for the coming days. On a sad note though, mate, I guess we need to touch on the whole racing community's obviously been shocked by the news around Chris Caserta disappearing in the surf on the Gold Coast on Wednesday night, and obviously nothing confirmed as we record, but obviously everyone's thoughts are with his family, friends, and anyone in the racing community that's worked with him. You've had a bit to do with Chris riding for the stable since he arrived from Victoria.
Yeah, he's a true young fella, very, very hard worker. He's a relentless track work rider, and he was quite willing to travel the miles to ride. So it's very, very sad news to hear this happened, and all our thoughts and prayers are with his family at this time.
Yeah, sure are. It's obviously a terribly sad news, and I know that the Gold Coast Turf Club and Racing Queensland are putting in some welfare support in place for industry participants, anyone that needs to talk or anything else. So. All right, well, let's get into the racing. Last week, there wasn't much racing going on, but you did manage to get a few runners going around and a winner with Jabali Gold on the polytrack, which was obviously first test for the polytrack, ridden by Georgina Cartwright for the Hancock's Bloodstock team. Jabali Gold got the chocolates.
Yeah, he did, and didn't he do it well? Like he bounded straight to the front and travelled strongly and gave a good kick. So it was a very smooth ride by Georgina. She did everything right on the horse, and he responded to her, to it the way that she rides. So it was good to see him. This is a horse we were sort of last preparation. We were tossing up whether he had a career as a racehorse or as a lead pony. So to see him win 3 now, it's very satisfying from my point of view, anyway.
Yeah, I bet it is. He heard that chat in the wings, and he said, "No, I'm not going to have any of that." And obviously, like the polytrack, it's a new thing, isn't it? The Sunny Coast polytrack. So, what did you make of it? You've had a couple of runners go around on it. Obviously, there was Wednesday's meeting at Doomben that was transferred to the polytrack. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, look, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think there's got to be a place for it in racing, but I think every track needs to have one of these polytracks put in Queensland. In southeast Queensland, the Gold Coast Eagle Farm, we need to have one put in so as our horses can work on them. But more importantly, like it's a track where you don't lose a meeting. You're still able, like yesterday at the Sunshine Coast Wednesday meeting, it was torrential, the rain, absolutely torrential. And had it been on the grass, there's no way, no man that they would have raced. So for them to get through the whole meeting, there was 8 races and 8 winners. Everybody's been able to collect a bit of prize money. You don't have to run, like if you don't want to run scratch, but I think there's a place for it. I think the jockeys still have to learn how to ride it, though. I think it's when you're riding on dirt tracks, it's completely different to riding on grass. It's very similar to America. So I think the jockeys have to learn to be able to react and to ride, I suppose, an American style of racing, because that's how races are going to be run and won.
And do you think there seemed to be a pattern with obviously on-pace runners sort of being advantaged, not for every race, but just a bit of a pattern there. Is that a thing, do you think, with the polytrack? Is that what you're saying about jockeys learning how to ride it? Or?
Well, I mean, you watch American racing, and that's pretty similar to that, isn't it? I mean, it's very much a leader-dominated sort of racing in America. And, not every horse can do that, obviously. But the horses that get back, once they've had a run or two on it, they'll learn to be able to race through it. But, it's very much speed racing. And, that's just the way that the horses have to be ridden. Because once they get back and get the poly in their face, a lot of them don't want to let go.
They don't like it. Yeah, exactly. So, interesting times. And as you said, with sort of just the weather and the climate that it is over the next few months, no doubt they'll be even more important. So I know there's plans obviously for the Gold Coast to have one. So it'll be good. The more the merrier there. Well done to everyone involved with Jabali Gold. Satisfying win there. And I guess with those meetings that have been postponed or rescheduled, it means there's really an action-packed sort of week or two of racing ahead. Some of the horses catching up to those that were already programmed and whatnot. So let's get into the preview. You've got a big team of runners entered for a range of different meetings, and fingers crossed the weather gods are on our side. Ipswich Friday, there's 4 acceptors there for that program. The first of those is a first starter here, horse called Cartwright. He's a 3-year-old gelding by Holy Roman Emperor. And what can you tell us about him?
He's had a couple of trials. He's still got a little bit to learn about racing, but he's drawn a good gait. And the other thing is I've never really had him on the wet, so I don't know whether he's going to like it or hate it. But he's fit enough to go to the races, and we sort of want to get him going and get a bit of a line on where his ability lies. But certainly I think whatever he does tomorrow, he'll improve a lot on coming out of that race.
Okay, very good. One to watch, see how he goes there. We then move over to Kitty Kitty Bang Bang, who was a scratching from Wednesday's transferred meeting. Looks like we'll go around here. Georgina Cartwright aboard, and she tries hard, doesn't she? She was an honest 5th at midweek metro level last start and drops back in grade for this.
Yeah, well, she's probably a little bit stiff not to win the other day. She just got held up at a pretty crucial point on the corner. Mick Carl gave her a great ride, and she was just starting to build a momentum up and get into the race, and was sort of blocked and impeded, and she wasn't beaten all that far. So I thought her run was very good. So I just think Georgina's just got to give her a nice ride wherever she can, just back off the speed somewhere out of the pressure. And, if she can handle the heavy track, she'll certainly be getting home as well as she can.
Sure, very good. Well, fingers crossed for the girls there, the all-lady syndicate in Kitty. And then you've got a dual acceptor here in Jetty for the strong bloodstock team. He's entered for a Class 3 handicap over the 1200, but drawn barrier 18, also engaged for the Sunshine Coast Friday night. So I dare say you're leaning there.
Look, I think so at this stage, but the weather will determine with him. He's only starting his preparation, so my mind would be not to bust him first up on any sort of a heavy track. I'd probably prefer to wait because he's a nice horse. He's got a pretty bright future. And I just think that, if we've got to wait a week, I don't think that'd be the worst thing in the world for this horse.
Yeah, sure. And obviously, if he does go around, he'll be making his stable debut for the strong bloodstock team. And he's established a pretty good record, hasn't he? I know he'd be making his debut for you, but he's got a pretty good record and trialled nicely in a strong heat recently.
Yeah, I thought he trialled pretty well the other day. Just sort of got back out of the speed and hit the line quite well. So, as I said, I just want to make sure that when we run him, he's in the right sort of race on the right track. So whether this weekend's going to suit or not, it'll be yet to be decided.
Fair enough. We'll wait and see there. And then the final event on the program at Ipswich, you've got Centrefire and Polytrack engaged here, but another decision to be made because, of course, they're entered for Saturday's rescheduled listed Fillies and Mares Classic at Doomben, but there's still emergencies there. I guess with this meeting being Friday, you have to make a call Friday morning as far as which way you'll go.
Yeah, well, I think if any one of them runs, it'll be Polytrack. I think Centrefire, she's also accepted for the Gold Coast from Barrier 4, but Centrefire doesn't really handle heavy tracks. So I feel Polytrack probably would handle the softer tracks more better. So unless she looks like getting a run in that mare's race on Saturday at Doomben, I would suggest that she'll go around Ipswich tomorrow.
Okay, very good. Well, good luck to connections there. And obviously she's got bigger fish to fry, over the coming weeks too.
Yeah, well, she'll go to that 1300. Hopefully she gets a run there on Saturday week. So that's why she probably needs a gallop, more importantly, a race under a belt, more importantly than Centrefire. Centrefire, if I had to, I could just get away with trialling her next Tuesday or getting a good hard gallop into her, and that would just top her off nicely for the 1300 Eagle Farm in next Sunday.
Okay, sure. All right, well, let's move over to the Friday night meeting at the Sunshine Coast. Lots of racing going on. Boom Nova's engaged here in a Class 4 plate over the 1,000 metres. She's obviously scratched earlier on in the week a couple of times due to either meetings being postponed or whatnot. So hopefully she gets a go here at the Sunshine Coast track.
Yeah, well, look, I think the 1,000 metres suits her. I thought the 1,200 the other day was probably a bit too far for a first up, and when they moved it to the polytrack, I was unsure. But I mean, chances are this could go to the polytrack as well tomorrow night, and I think I'd probably still run her at this stage. I just have to wait and see what happens at its scratchings time. But she's very well. She's had a couple of nice trials under her belt, and I do feel that she's in good order. So I would suggest that she'll probably go around if it is moved to the polytrack.
Okay, very good. Yeah, the grass currently rated a heavy 10, so I guess it all comes down to track inspection tomorrow and see how that goes there if they do run on the grass. The other runner engaged on the program on Friday night is Comets, who's also in the dual acceptor boat. He's in the same race as Jetty, a Colts, Geldings and Entires benchmark 68. Barrier 10 for Mark Duplessis. And he was pretty good first up, wasn't he, in stronger grade, worked home well over the 1,000 metres, and you would think better suited here?
I think so. I suppose he's a big horse. I'm just not convinced yet that the wet tracks are to his liking. I've still got to discuss with the owners what they would like to do with this horse, but he's a nice galloper. He certainly went very well first up, and I do think he's got a nice future ahead of him, but I've just got to decide yet whether he runs on Friday or Sunday yet with the owners.
Yeah, sure. Also entered for the Sunday meeting at the Sunshine Coast. As we said, lots of meetings, lots of dual acceptors. So keep an eye on scratchings there. Let's turn our attention to the feature Doomben meeting on Saturday, and fingers crossed the weather gods are on their side here. It's George Moore Stakes Day, and in that race, you've got Stampy lining up. Barrier 1 for Sean Cormack, and he was a gallant second in his first up run in the listed Keith Nowden. Drawn nicely. You think he's going to have every chance from here?
I think he will. I just hope that by then the inside's not too chopped up. Obviously, later in the day, they would have had a bit of racing on it. But, I mean, he handles the wet, this guy. He ran well one day at the coast on a pretty soft track. So I think he handles the wet all right. There's going to be good speed with Zeus style, and there's one over there that rolls forward. So he should be able to park up just behind them somewhere, and he's a lot fitter now than what he was the other day. So, look, I think he's certainly in the race with a great chance. Sean seems to get on well with him, and hopefully he can get the best out of him on Saturday for us.
Yeah, well, he always turns up, doesn't he, Stampy? So finally drawn a barrier. Fingers crossed for everyone involved there. Also entered on the program is Rhapsody Rose, who returns in the listed mode stakes. She's had a little break after her last start win at Eagle Farm, which was in mid-October. How's she going in at the stable, and what are your thoughts for her into the summer?
Yeah, well, she's really going well. Looks the best I've ever seen her look in her career with me. So she's drawn her usual outside gate, 14 or 14. So I just have to leave it up to Ryan what he does. I mean, I think she's just a cruising speed type filly, as we've seen when we got her out to the 1400. So I think he's just going to have to ride her very similar to that, and just hope that he gets the right sort of run in transit. Obviously, as I mentioned, the track by then will be probably chopped up quite badly on the inside. So I'm just hopeful that he can get the right sort of run in transit and get to the right part of the track.
Yeah, sure. So you think, the barrier 14, not such a disadvantage probably at that stage of the day, and the 1,200 metres will probably seem like a bit further than that also.
Well, probably will. Yeah, probably will. I mean, she's had the one trial the other day, but she's still not fully wound up. So whatever she does tomorrow, she's going to have a lot of improvement left in going to the Vogue and the Guineas. Yeah,
sure. And you did say last prep you sort of learnt a bit more about her, that she maybe needs a little bit, may not be as sharp as she was as a 2-year-old.
I think she'll get, like her pedigree says, she'll get to 2,000 metres. So whether she'll get that far, I'm not sure. She probably hasn't got, what I'm seeing, she probably hasn't got the temperament to do that just yet. But, with racing and maturity under a belt, you just wouldn't discard anything. Good horses can do the unusual.
Yeah, sure. Well, good luck to the Honourable Peter McGorran, Pinecliff Racing Syndicate with her. Good to see Rhapsody Rose back at the track. The other runners we mentioned is the listed Fillies and Mares Classic, so Centerfire and Pelisapan there. Good luck to Connections if they do get a run. If not, could be other meetings over the weekend. Let's move over to the Gold Coast Saturday, where Northern Woods, he's a dual accepted for Saturday, Gold Coast and also Sunday at the Sunshine Coast. What have you made of his last run where he was third over the 1,800 metres at the Sunshine Coast?
Yeah, I think the horse is going very well. I thought the young fella just Bird the other day probably rode him a bit too conservatively in a slowly run race, and probably let the race get away on him a little bit. And his effort to run third was very good. So I'm not convinced he handles the wet. So I'm probably tempted not to run this horse this weekend now with the barriers from where he's drawn and everything, unless the races really fell away. I'd probably recommend to the owners that we wait. There's another race for him next week. So it'll really just depends on scratching morning, how many horses are left in the race as to whether we run him or not.
Sure. Okay. We'll may see out for another day. Then the other runner, Centify, who's in the open handicap over the 1,100 metres, barrier 4, but no jockey declared at this stage.
Yeah. Well, Tiff Brooker will ride her if she runs. She's another one, as I said, Adam, with these wet tracks. I don't feel she handles the wet, but she needs to get a gallop into her. So if I don't run her, she'll trial Tuesday and then run in the 1,300 just now the following Saturday.
Very good. We'll see how the Gold Coast track comes up Saturday morning. So let's focus over to Sunshine Coast on Sunday. A couple of those dual acceptors, but Sakura Star is one that isn't. Fillies and Mares Class 2 handicap over the 1,000 metres. Barrier 2 for Jaden Lloyd. What did you make of her first run here at the Sunshine Coast over the 1,000 metres?
Yeah, she just raced quite keen and aggressive. Was just seemed to be well above herself. But she's had a trial since, and actually she was one of the horses I galloped on Monday morning myself, and she galloped as good as any Class 2 horse you'd want to ride. So if she can handle the wet track up there on Sunday, she's certainly a winning chance. I've got no doubt she's in good order, and wouldn't surprise me to come and see her win by a big space.
Okay, well, there you go. Like to hear that. And obviously she had a great preparation last prep, didn't she? You know, just very consistent and always picking up prize money, and was sort of unlucky on a couple of occasions could have easily have won more than she already has.
That's right. But I think as she's got, a bit older, she's just a speed filly, and she doesn't like to be restrained. So I think, it wouldn't matter whether we go to the polytrack or not. I still think she'd take a place on Sunday.
Okay, very good. Comments, we've already spoken about Northern Woods, and then the other runner engaged is Vista Bell, who's entered for the benchmark 75, but is an emergency here. So I guess it'll all depend on scratchings and the way that the track pulls up. Yeah,
well, look, she'll run. She was a very dominant winner the other day at the Gold Coast. She led, controlled the race and gave a good kick at the Gold Coast last Saturday. And she certainly hasn't gone backwards since then. She's really trained on nicely, and she looks as good as I've had her. So she'll take her place on Sunday, particularly if it goes to the polytrack. She's raced on the polytrack in Melbourne, so she'll go around on Sunday.
Very good, mate. Well, lots of runners, lots of decisions, and obviously, we'll all be keeping an eye on both the radar and scratchings, but good luck to yourself and everyone over the weekend.
Good on you, Adam. Thanks, mate.